Hello, I'm Daymia Rousseau, a UCSC intern reporting for KSQD. AI data centers are a booming business, and California is one of the leading states in building them. Along with concerns about environmental costs, critics are saying the financial burden of these energy-hungry facilities falls unfairly on customers. One of its biggest critics is alternative energy expert Amory Lovins.
I'm mightily puzzled why 38 states at least subsidize data centers with tax breaks and why they're generally thought to be economically advantageous. They're good if you're in the construction industry. They're not so good if you're looking for long-term jobs. These are highly automated operations, and enormous amounts of capital get sucked out of the rest of the economy.
Professor Lovins is a physicist, AI data center designer, writer, and lecturer at Stanford University. He's written several critical pieces on the setbacks of nuclear energy and AI data centers, as well as many articles on the best ways to utilize alternative, solar, and wind power energy. He's concerned about customers bearing the brunt of cost overreach.
There's quite a bit of political unease around the country and protest growing about burdens falling on other customers, partly because the contract with the data center may not cover all the costs of grid extensions and other investments needed to keep the grid going with the big new load. And also because many of the data centers proposed will not be built, or if built will not thrive. It looks like they're set to earn about a tenth as much at most revenue as they would need to support the enormous investments they're making.
So data centers are expected to earn less revenue than it takes to construct them? Currently, data centers consume 1 to 2% of global energy. However, research from investment companies such as Goldman Sachs project data centers' energy demand will grow by 160% by the year 2030. And not even Bill Gates predicts a viable energy plan until the year 2050. So data centers are expected to operate for 25 years, functionally at an over 100% increase in power usage. And that's only if AI demand can finance it. According to Professor Lovins, this financial strategy effectively cannibalizes itself.
One of the reasons the financial community is concerned and thinking of AI more and more as a bubble is that it's indulging more and more in what are called circular transactions, like my company invests in your company, which then buys my products so that we can both afford to do that. But it doesn't really sustain an increase in wealth so much as conceal that we're not making money the conventional way by selling a product people want to pay a lot for. And between that and circular transactions, it's really hard to tell what condition the tech companies are in. That heightens the risk. So I think the concern about unexpected burdens falling on localities is well founded. I would also suggest that you shouldn't automatically assume that because AI can make various operations more efficient and save energy, that means it's a net good for climate.
One big worry is the capacity of the grid to distribute heavy energy demand during peak hours. Who will pay for upgrading it? The AI companies or the public? What about blackouts? Many tech companies such as Google and Microsoft claim they can fund green premiums by 2030 to sustain energy demand through market returns. However, the fragility of the AI bubble in global markets casts doubt on that strategy.
Initially, it was more about making the hardware more efficient. Now it's more about software and system architecture. Either way, if efficiency on average quadruples every year, that means if you are selling electricity to a data center, you're making a bet that over decades it will quadruple its sales of services every year, because otherwise it won't end up paying you the same amount of money for the electricity. That's a pretty big bet, and it's one that a lot of localities and utility customers are uneasy taking, or having it taken for them.
Many communities near data centers feel that they have no say in where they're built or how they're paid for. In places like Chesapeake, Virginia, the increase in noise pollution became a major complaint for the community. In Michigan, 19 local governments proposed a moratorium on data center development, with one resident claiming the federal government needed to, quote, crack down on these companies. In Los Angeles, city leaders were pressured by Monterey Park residents to issue a 45-day moratorium and look into future data center bans. Still, construction continues.
Once you have a bunch of data centers, they tend to attract others. It's kind of a network effect. This is also in the power pool called PJM, where the biggest pressure is building because the same power pool is not very good at getting renewables and storage that have been stuck in a queue for years actually permitted so that they can be built and will be allowed to connect to the grid. And instead, they're trying to fast track with support from Washington new gas plants and or coal or nuclear, which are much more expensive and much slower to build.
So many data centers cost so much financially and in electrical energy to construct that they require government bailouts. It seems many data centers are given the green light to begin operations through city agreements, but are given no long-term plan for maintaining workers, power, or customers. As the divide between AI enthusiasts and critics widens, data centers' full environmental impacts remain to be seen. Can data centers continue operating if they consume more energy than they produce? If AI development is to be successful in local communities, maybe the first step is to consult with them to determine if the ends justify the means. Thanks for listening. This is Daymia Rousseau, UCSC Intern, reporting for KSQD.